Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Olivia Francesca. This is my very first video on YouTube. On this platform, I wanted to share with you my experience moving abroad from the US to Germany. I wanted to share not only me moving but also how life is in Germany. I wanted to share my passion for travel. I wanted to talk to you about my faith and try as much as possible at the end of each video, maybe leave a little inspirational message, leave something, right? So that's what I want to do on this platform. So let's dive right into today's topic, which is how and why I moved to Germany. First of all, I am originally from Cameroon in Africa. I grew up in Cameroon. I moved from Cameroon to Europe, where I went to further my study. I relocated to the US, I think a couple of years after that, and I had been in the US for approximately 14 years until last December when I moved to Germany. So how did all that happen? So as far as I can remember, I had this idea, right, to, because I guess maybe because of all the places I had been to prior to the US, I had this idea when I started working that I wanted to experience what it's like to work in an international environment, maybe work for an NGO, the United Nations, something like that. So I applied as much as possible, and I never really got like anything interesting, nothing really substantial came back to me, so I never got to work in that industry. So anyway, that was an idea. I wanted to move abroad, experience working there, maybe meet somebody, get married, and then maybe move back to the state. That was just an idea at the time. Anyway, why am I telling you this? Because I actually met my husband in 2019. My husband lives in Germany and I was in the US at that time. So I met him and we got married a year later in 2020, beginning of 2020. And we wanted really to live together as soon as possible and be in the same country. So we decided to, we were trying to decide which country was the best, which will work the best for the both of us. Well, not only when it comes to our jobs, like what we did, not only when it comes to family, but just in general for both our lives. We wanted to find the best system. So we prayed about it. We looked at the pros and cons of each country. And at the end, we decided that we wanted to at least start in Germany. Even if we weren't going to live in Germany for forever, we wanted to at least start here because for us it made sense in terms of starting a family. It made sense in terms of maybe enjoying like life a little bit more, less stress. We wanted to travel a little bit, so that made sense for us. So that's why I came to Germany. So I came to be with my husband. And how did that happen? So I was working in the US. I had a job, full-time job. I decided that, okay, if we were going to move, if I am going to move to Germany, I was going to go through the immigration process, meaning that we decided that even though I'm going to Germany, we're going to try the immigration procedure, not only for me in Germany, but also for my husband in the US. So we got married, I think in January, January of 2020, we got married and we started the immigration procedure for the US in March of 2020. So we started, I think the form in the US is just I-130, which is the petition for immigrant relative, and that is relative like a spouse or I don't know what else. So we apply, we fill out the form, and we attach like required documentation, and things like marriage certificate, information about your spouse, things like that. And because we had a long distance relationship, you have to add proof that your marriage was in good faith. Also, so if you want to hear about how I met my husband and how the relationship was, just let me know. And it's quite a different and interesting story. It's quite a good story of faith. So yeah, so anyway, so we started the immigration process in the US in March. So we sent the paperwork, and then right after that, we decided that we're going to start the process in Germany too. So we filled out the application, and they didn't ask that much. They weren't really, they didn't ask for any proof of that, of any sort, just maybe marriage certificate and things like that, and information about me, things like that. And I think the one thing that they asked for, they required, that I didn't have at the time, is that if you're not fluent in German, then you need to have at least an A1 level, which is the basic level in German. So I didn't have that at the time, and it was what, March of 2020. So I decided to enroll in a class, not only to learn the German, but also to get some kind of proof so I can include it in my application for the German embassy. So that's what I did. So I enrolled in a class for German. It was like an intensive, I think, 4-month class. At the end of it, you usually get a certificate. So I did that. I got the certificate, I think sometimes in October. I included that in my application, and tried to get an appointment at the German embassy. So once you have all your documentation, how it works in the German embassy in the US is that you actually get an interview and you bring all your paperwork. I think maybe before you could just mail it or maybe email something like that, but anyway, you need an interview. So I got an interview. I went to the embassy in DC, and I met this nice lady. So she kind of, we talked a little bit. She went through my paperwork. She kind of explained the process. She was like, yeah, we're just going to issue you a visa saying that you can go to Germany, and there you can get the residency permit. So that's what happened. You didn't also need, I think, an insurance or something like that, and you can also get that in Germany. So that's what I did. I left my paperwork there. I had included the certificate of attendance for my German class. And probably 2 weeks later, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, they came back to me. They sent me an email saying that I needed to include a certificate saying that I had actually passed an exam and I had an A1 level, right? So I actually went back to where I took the German class, and I decided to register for the A1 level exam. At that point, because of the pandemic, it was a little bit difficult because they didn't have that many sessions. Not only they didn't have that many sessions, but most of them were already booked in advance. So what I did is I signed up for the individual one. You pay a little bit more, but I think it's worth it. So I signed up for the individual one. I did that, and you get the result the same day. So I got the result, and I sent it to the embassy. I emailed it to the embassy. Once I emailed it, they probably came back to me probably a week after, saying that my visa is ready and I can come to DC and get the visa. So that's what I did. So I had a visa for 3 months. 3 months. In that time frame, you're supposed to come to Germany, and then in Germany you can go to I think you can go to the immigration office, and then there you can have your residency permit. So that's one way. I think another way to do it is if you can travel, if you have a tourist visa, you can also come to Germany, and here you can do all that procedure. I didn't really want to go through that way because I was still working at the time. So I wanted to work until at least the end of the year before I come to Germany. And that's what happened. When it comes to the immigration procedure in the US, so we're still going through that. That one takes a little bit longer. So you have to file the I-130 first. Once you file the I-130, I think you have, depending on which center your paperwork goes to, it could, the length of the procedure could be, the duration could be from, I don't know, from like 6 months to 2 years or a year and a half, and ours was I think a year. So it takes a year for USCIS to approve it. It took a year for us for USCIS to approve it, and then it's done, and then they will send you a document to the National Visa Center, and that's another process. So that's where we are now. So we're still waiting to hear from them. Anyway, that's the story of how I moved to Germany and why I moved to Germany. If you want to hear more about how I met my husband, and I mean, how we met and how we got married in just less than 2 years or a year and a half, just let me know in the comment section. Just thank you so much for listening to this video, for watching. Please leave some comments, subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share this video, and yes, thank you.